down. So I love definitions that are neutral, because if we don't deal with neutral definitions, then we do begin viewing things as good and bad. And not that there aren't things, but that kind of messes with our perception, okay? So I want to pull everything back and just go, let's go neutral. My definition of culture is very simple. It's how we live, move, and exist. It's simply how we show up every day. And we can relate that to family culture. Let's say your family has a culture of every Sunday night we meet at Grandma and Grandpa's and we cook a homemade meal, and there's laughter and there's joy and there's connection. I grew up in a family back in the day. We were a singing family, and so we were we kind of grew up in church, and so for us that culture meant you pulled out songs and someone pulled out a guitar, and it's kind of like sitting around the campfire. Those are elements of culture, and we underestimate that. And there's all these jokes at the workplace about people hanging around the water cooler. Guess what they're looking for? Connection. And so the water cooler doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could actually become an anchor to your culture. And so it's how we live, move, and exist. I'm going to pull it back even more because I really want to give people some super tangible stuff in the next 15, 20 minutes. You can begin asking yourself 4 questions to really start measuring your definition of culture, okay? Number 1, how do you treat others? How do you treat others? Number 2, how do you speak to other people and to yourself? What's the language you're using? Number 3, how do you engage with people? And number 4, how do you lead, first of all, yourself, secondly, others? So it's about treating others, it's about speaking to others, it's about engaging with others, it's about leading others. And we're looking again at those from a neutral standpoint. Why are those questions important? Because if you don't know how to respond to those questions, you're going to have a really difficult time clarifying something that's kind of pie in the sky, aka culture. So we're trying to shrink this back as small as we can, as tangible as we can. So when we ask those 4 questions, first of ourselves, and then we bring our team in, and we say we're going to ask these questions of our team, then we can begin shaping out how people would like to be treated, how we want to be known for treating people, how we're engaging, how we're speaking and communicating, and how we're leading. And when we can really respond to those questions, it's going to lead us to knowing ourselves well, to knowing the people around us well, and that will become a massively strong foundation for putting some what I call skin on this idea of culture. But a lot of the problem is, I can't tell you, Tim, how many leaders I've met who have never asked themselves those questions. And so they have no self-awareness. And if you have no self-awareness, there is zero possibility for you to create culture. The problem with culture is it exists. Whether you've intentionally created it or not, it exists. And so I know in a little bit we're going to get into some measurables. But those are your first 4 questions to really begin that exploration.